The subject of our investigation is the death of Christian Obumseli at the hands of his own girlfriend, a social media influencer and OnlyFans model, Courtney Clenney. Here's the story. It's a story filled with glamour, passion, and ultimately devastating tragedy. Courtney Clenney, a social media star with millions of followers, lived in the shimmering heights of Miami's luxury lifestyle. By her side was cryptocurrency trader Christian Obumseli, a man described as vibrant, ambitious, and full of life. But behind the glossy images and curated posts, their relationship was marred by turbulence, arguments, and allegations of violence. In April of 2022, the glittering facade shattered when Christian was fatally stabbed in their high-rise apartment. Police arrived to a scene of chaos, blood, screams, and a life slipping away. Clenney claimed self-defense, saying she hurled a knife across the room, but prosecutors painted a darker portrait of manipulation and rage. The case captured the nation, not only because of the shocking nature, but because it exposed the fragility behind an image of perfection, leaving heartbreak and unanswered questions in its wake. This is a case that's getting closer to a trial date. And back when it happened, Courtney Clenney did give an interview with police almost immediately, though it would be several months after that interview before she was charged with Obumseli's murder. Take a look, though, at what she was able to tell police in the hours after this happened.
Like I said, a little bit blur. I was doing laundry and watching a Christian Randall or listening to a Christian Randall video and tried to call my mom. She didn't answer the first time. And then he came back with a Subway sandwich. Before he left, he recited exactly what I wanted. And I said, I'll text what I want to you. And he said, I know what you want. I said, no, you don't. He recited it to me before he left. And he got it perfectly right.
Okay.
And then he left. I guess he went to go bike over there. That's just what he said. I don't know if he walked or biked, but he told me he's going to bike personally.
Like a bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came back. And I said something about, reshare your location with me to share it. And he said, yeah, I shared it. And I was like, oh, when did you do that? And he goes, the other day when you were done with me. And I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Reshare it. And then he told me. It kind of turned into a little argument or something. And then he told me to reshare mine. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't do it immediately. He asked me about it again. And I don't know what I was thinking, but just think about, well, what if I'm somewhere you don't want me to be?
Okay.
Which wouldn't have been. I love him, but I feel maybe you don't want to know where I am. I guess maybe it'll just hurt him because he was pressing me, and he ended up pinning me against the wall. And then, I said choking me on the floor. It's just he looked at my neck and I was like, I'm not saying choking me whatever. But he had my neck. And this happened twice before, where I couldn't breathe and I was on the floor. Yeah. I could not breathe. And I don't think that he was trying to kill me, but I was scared. And all 3 times I have been scared. So yeah, I'm on the floor. And he had me pinned and lets me up. I'm on get my mom on the phone, and I'm just trying to hey, Mom, I'm on the phone. And I remember she was standing against the couch. We were, obviously, it was a big deal at this point. So this happened over by the door and somehow moved over in the living room. He was standing by the couch, facing toward the kitchen. I was in the kitchen. And then he just I could see all the whites in his eyes, and he was coming at me. And so I grabbed one of these knives. My mom got me for Christmas. I grabbed one of them. And I was I swear to God, it was just I grab and be don't come anywhere closer to me. Because earlier, that happened 2 other times I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry. I couldn't breathe. And it's very scary. And I just think just this kind of thing where I was saying do you know if he's okay? If he's choking me and he's angry enough, he might this is different, I think. But if he's choking me or pinning me or something and I can't breathe, he might go too long. So I grabbed a knife and I said, don't come anywhere closer to me. I had absolutely no intention of using it. I'm on the phone with my mom, and he's coming at me. He's going to grab either the phone or, like, the knife or something. And so it's just like, I was like, don't come any closer. Coming at me, and I threw it. And I meant for it to go.
How far away was he?
Well, I was by my fridge, and he was, like, by the edge of one of the chairs of the sofa. Like,
Comparing to what
10 feet. I'm trying to think in my head.
So these are the first words of Courtney Clenney sitting down with police. It looks like right after this happened, it looks like she was yanked out of her home, still wearing almost night clothes. So that gets us to the first question in our investigation. There it is. What does Courtney Clenney's police interview that we just watched, what does it reveal about this case? Let's bring in our guest to help us answer that question. We have with us former Judge Tarlika Nunez Navarro. She's also a dean of St. Thomas University College of Law, and criminal defense attorney Jo-Anna Nieves is with us as well. Good to have you both on. Tarlika, let me start with you. When we are listening to that interview and interrogation, what is standing out to you from that? All right, looks like, Tarlika, we have lost your signal. So, Jo-Anna, let me ask you this question. In listening to that interrogation, and again, what's standing out, especially when we're recognizing that ultimately this is a self-defense or murder case, but there's also elements, it sounds like, of an accident?
Hi, Julia. Thanks for having me. So one of the things that comes to mind when I'm watching is how is this going to play out in front of a jury when they take this into consideration? If this is ever seen, what comes to mind? And a lot of times juries operate from this space of common sense and experience. And we as individuals make assessments about when people are telling the truth or when they're lying and what seems believable. And here we see that she's telling a story at first that's really consistent in pace and pattern at the very beginning. And she's talking about Subway and the order and what happens. And then when it comes down to what happened with the choking and where she was standing and how when the knife was thrown and how she was holding it up, she takes a number of pauses and tries to recall the story that she wants to tell. I don't think that in the interview it comes across as credible, and that might be something that the jury concludes as well as they're making their assessments.
Interesting. And yeah, at the beginning, it almost seems like it doesn't match just in terms of the context. We're talking about the stabbing death of someone, and I'm sure police told her you need to start at the beginning. But she's talking about her Subway order, whether he recited it back to her, whether he got it right. It seemed like things were going just fine. And then there's this question of whether or not he sent his location, and we know that this was a volatile situation, that there was a lot of jealousy in this relationship. How do you think that plays into what police in this interview are thinking?
Yeah, I think it, they didn't arrest her right away as the subject of the murder, but I do think that it added up after a while, right? We're aware that there was a confrontation or an encounter with police where she was asking for a restraining order, and there were several instances like the elevator video where she's wailing on him, and that this was a volatile relationship. So when you hear something that it does seem like it was a minor conversation that she started out with, and then there's dispute about their location, even the smallest of instances in these toxic relationships involving domestic violences can turn instantly into tragedy like this one did. So here we are, okay, what might be a normal argument about where were you and what's your location with a more healthy relationship, all of a sudden ended up with somebody being stabbed to death.
And we have a situation here where she is claiming battered partner syndrome. It's what she's going to go to trial with as her defense. So not only self-defense, but also saying that even if self-defense alone isn't enough, this is what I was dealing with. But I want to talk about something that you mentioned, the delay, Jo-Anna, in the arrest of this defendant of Courtney Clenney. Looks like I've lost both of our guests, but we are going to talk about what's happening next in this trial, because this is a case that wasn't set to go to trial for a while. The judge has put it on the docket. So we're going to continue to talk about this. We're going to catch a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this issue that has come up, and it's a reason that the defense wants to throw out the entire case. Why would police ask a witness to delete crime scene photos?
Wait, what's it, Courtney? Courtney.
Just keep him sitting up. Leave.
Courtney, listen to me. Get up, come on. Get up.
Oh, no. I can't let this happen.
Relax.
Why? No, guys.
Relax.
We are continuing our investigation into the fatal stabbing of Christian Obumseli and the trial for his girlfriend, Courtney Clenney. Now, in 2022, officers had to piece together what this crime scene meant. What details did they need when they have a man who's on the floor dead in an apartment and a girlfriend who admits that she used a knife? Here's a look at the body camera footage of the moments that officers rushed into that apartment for the first time.
Get up.
Please, God. Please.
Listen.
Get him up.
Get up right now. You can drop it on the floor. I'll help him out. Get up.
Oh, no. No, I can't let this, okay? It wasn't me. Guys,
Stop.
Relax.
Why? No, guys.
Relax.
Boss, what's going on?
Relax. Sit down.
Here. Okay.
Sit down. Sit down.
Okay. Baby, come here. Just sit down. Please, just make sure he's okay.
They're gonna be.
Okay. Jesse, come here, baby.
Stay right there.
Come on, boys. Come on, sit down.
Francis.
Dime.
Fire rescue. He's not breathing.
Can I just...
No.
I'm covered in blood. I'm covered in my boyfriend's
Miami, we're going to need fire rescue. Immediately, we have an unresponded male. The apartment's full of blood. How old is he?
He's 27. He's about to turn 28 in like 2 weeks. 27 years old. We have his birthday planned for Barcelona. Come on, stay here. Come back. Ranger, come on, babe. Hey, it's like his dad.
No, it doesn't matter. You stay right here.
Okay. Ranger, come on, babe.
Ranger.
I was saying it's like his dad. They're obsessed with each other. He's worried about him.
Ranger.
Hey, is he okay?
Hey, man. What's his name?
Jesse,
over here. Ranger. Come on.
Hey, is he okay?
Come on.
Come on,
Ranger. Where's
What
it
is
coming
going on?
The only one is right here.
I was
Ranger.
really scared. I just think I didn't. I'm covered in blood from holding.
Dime. What's his name?
What is his name? Christian Obumseli.
What's his name?
Christian Obumseli. Christian Obumseli. Please.
Listen, sit down. Do me a favor, sit down. Do not
Why are you
move.
yelling at me?
Do not move.
Why are you yelling at me?
Do not move, sit down.
Okay,
We don't know what's going on. We don't know what happened.
I'm terrified
So
for him.
right now, don't worry. They're helping him. So just sit down. Don't move, okay?
That chaotic scene had a lot of officers all over this apartment, but they were not the first ones to respond. There was actually a private security guard for the apartment who showed up, and something about what happened with him is causing the defense to ask to dismiss this entire case. Now, in that filing by the defense, and this has to do with that individual, Danny Del Valle, and he was ordered by police, according to his deposition, where he was in a civil case, and this civil attorney asked him these questions. He said that he was asked to delete all of his recordings because, quote, law enforcement instructed and directed him to delete the totality of the most crucial evidence in this case. And the defense says his videos and photographs that would have captured the scene prior to the arrival of police and fire rescue. Mrs. Clenney's first words and responses upon finally getting help for Mr. Obumseli, all of that would have been revealed in this raw footage of the alleged crime scene before it was adulterated by the arrival of police and fire rescue. And the defense saying that they may have destroyed any blood evidence, including blood spatter evidence, that would have been helpful to the defense. So that gets us to the next question in our investigation. Why would police ask a witness to delete crime scene photos? Let's bring in our guest to talk about this one. Here to help us with our investigation is former Judge Tarlika Nunez Navarro, and also she's the Dean of St. Thomas University College of Law, and joining the program, retired New York Police Detective Michael Alcazar. He's a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Good to have you both on. Tarlika, I need to start with you. Let's see if we can talk about this case and why the defense is saying these videos were deleted. If that was true, what's your thought on police potentially asking for crime scene photos to be deleted?
Well, Julia, contrary to popular belief, this is done quite often, and it's because the police and law enforcement and prosecutors have to follow policy and procedure, which is chain of custody. They have to make sure that everything's documented appropriately and that nothing can be released to the press outside of that documentation. So although they say, yes, they asked him to delete these videos, I'm sure that they took them into account and into the investigation.
So, Mike, I want to ask, because you have the law enforcement background on this one, and I first want to play a bit of sound from the defense attorneys who filed that motion to dismiss. They've been on Court TV talking to us about why this was self-defense.
The evidence is clear in this case that she was the victim of domestic violence. This has been portrayed as one-sided up until this point.
You know, the other day I heard the attorney for the family speak, and she used the words that Obumseli was a gentle soul, a kind and docile, gentle man. But the evidence really goes against that, and I don't think we've had the opportunity to really share it, but I'll just give you 3 examples. In Las Vegas, July of 2021, security was called by Courtney, and the body cam of the officer shows the security guard telling him, "We overheard her on the phone saying, 'Get your hands off me.' They go up to the room and clumps of her hair are on the ground." 2022, in February, we have a audio video of the security going up to outside of the apartment where they can hear Courtney screaming, saying, "You hit me in the leg." And then just a mere 2 days before what happened here, this tragedy, we know that Courtney was asking for help. She was begging the police to get her a restraining order. But more than that, and something that I think is not really shown, is in that same body cam, the employee at this building, he is heard telling the officers on the body cam, "We saw Obumseli charge at her and had to get in the middle." Those are not the actions of a gentle soul, a docile man.
So that's the defense side of this, and the prosecution has another take, but you're hearing even in that security guard there at this apartment complex is really important to the case because of those prior instances. Now, the district attorney's office there in Miami-Dade, one of their assistant state attorneys had this to say in particular about the wound.
The chief medical examiner of Miami-Dade County determined that Christian's cause of death was a stab to the chest. Christian was stabbed as the knife punctured the subclavian artery in his right chest. If you look over here for just a second to either one of these screens, you will get a good idea of how large that subclavian artery is within the human heart. The chief medical examiner further determined that the knife entered Christian's chest in a downward angle to the depth of 3 inches. In other words, the medical examiner has indicated that the fatal knife wound, which entered Christian's chest, was the result of a forceful downward thrust penetrating to the depth of over just 3 inches into that artery you just saw. You'll see there on those screens on either side how deep that 3 inches is. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it was certainly enough to kill him.
And that wound a huge part in why prosecutors went forward with charges in this case. Something else that added to why they went the route of charges is this, that's still to come. What role did Christian Obumseli's words and secret recordings play in the trial? Welcome to Vinnie Politan Investigates. I'm Julia Janae, filling in for Vinnie as we continue our investigation into the OnlyFans murder trial involving Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli, 2 young people caught in a volatile relationship. Here's the story. Courtney Clenney, widely known online as Courtney Taylor, a social media influencer and OnlyFans model, earned staggering amounts of money from her online persona, reportedly more than $3 million in just 2 years. With that wealth came a life of luxury in Miami, where she lived with her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli. To outsiders, their relationship seemed glamorous, but behind closed doors, it was volatile, marked by heated arguments, public altercations, and troubling reports of domestic violence from both sides. Friends of Obumseli, a tech entrepreneur, described him as charismatic and driven, though often overwhelmed by the storm of their romance. Police were called to their apartment multiple times. Neighbors recalling fights that spilled into hallways. In April of 2022, their relationship ended in tragedy when Obumseli was fatally stabbed in their high-rise home. Prosecutors say Clenney was the aggressor, presenting video of her striking him in an elevator and revealing texts that hinted at a toxic pattern of jealousy and control. Clenney claimed self-defense, while prosecutors accuse her of escalating violence, turning a life fueled by money, fame, and desire into one defined by loss and controversy. Was she a battered woman fighting back, or a millionaire influencer hiding a lethal temper? There are a lot of recordings in this case, from interrogation video of this suspect, the police body cam, even elevator video. But further investigation by police would reveal that Christian Obumseli took some recordings of his own, oftentimes a secret from the suspect in this case.
Story, like I was on the couch, like she threw the glass thing and my mouth on my face. Then I went back to bed. Like I was like, why'd you do that? Okay. I go to bed. I understand that she was mad, you know. I wasn't doing anything. I was on the couch. Like,
what triggered her to throwing the glass at you?
I think she said she was going downstairs and I think it's my tone. She tells me to work on a couple things, like my tone, facial expressions. So I think it was like my tone. I was like, yeah, go downstairs then. No, obviously I didn't say it like that, but it could have been like she knows how to describe tone. I don't know. I never realized my tone, but I know that she said she wanted to go downstairs. I was like, go downstairs then.
Because my feelings were being hurt. Obviously, we're going back and forth. He was already upset with me. I was getting upset with him. We were getting loud. And I was like, oh my God, we're gonna like do damage to the room or something. Not damage to each other. Like, I really want to like
why would you think
that?
Why would you think that you were gonna do damage to the room?
I like throwing something. Or like...
Did you throw something?
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
Did anybody throw anything?
No.
So why would you think that there is damage to the room to be made?
Because I've done that before in our house. And I...
What have you done?
Thrown a glass at him, plate. And I could just see the way that things were going. We were either going to get loud or I was going to end up throwing something or like get in trouble somehow. So I was like, you know what, I'm just nipping this in the bud.
Did you throw a glass or a plate at him today?
No.
So
no, this is before.
Okay, so when I go to the room and I see a broken glass on the floor, where did the glass come from?
I don't know. I literally couldn't even remember how the fight started.
Well...
Was there?
Yeah.
Maybe I did.
Anyway, no, like I was sober for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then why am I not sober? Because of you. Let go of me.
Come on.
Let go of me.
Okay.
Come on, boy. Let go of me. Like, I can't even, like, outside of him, like, get the off me. Christian, he saw me, and I know he's looking. I'm like, fed up with you. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with how you treat me.
You let Moana say some line that affected you.
I didn't let her say anything. I did.
Hey, let's go to Moana right now. Let's pull up her.
No, I'm just gonna hear the scene.
No, she's in the group chat. Let's put her on the phone right here. Yeah, you hear me? Keep saying
you
it.
Do it?
Then stop saying it then.
Do it?
Then stop saying it then. Then stop saying it then.
Hold on.
Come on.
Like, let me get my
Ask her. Ask her, did I touch her breast yesterday? No, you're telling me I touched her breast yesterday when I...
You did. I didn't say nothing.
You said I did.
You were leaning. Yo, you were dumb as I actually don't want to be with you. Actually, I'm done.
Okay.
Can you send him home?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm done. Done. Because you're like, you're costing me money. I didn't do He's like, got to this house because of you.
Baby, please. Just get in the car. Just please. I'm sorry for calling you stupid. You will never hear me doing that. Was not right for me to do that. Please, baby, don't kill yourself.
You will never protect me.
I will.
Somebody was being horrible to me.
Hey,
get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me.
Stay here. You're gonna. Your dogs are in.
See, you just said stay here.
You from Miami?
No, he's not helping me. Just leave me alone.
Just let me talk to you for a second. I got you.
Leave me alone.
I saw you banging your head. That's not good. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
You know what that is like, though? It means that I want to kill myself.
You don't need to feel like that. You don't need to feel like that.
No, I tell him this.
So breathe in.
He literally makes fun of me when I am crying.
Get upset.
No, this. I get it.
Cece, just stop. Please.
You!
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you make yourself look good.
No, I'm not. No, it's my fault. No, he said it's his fault. Courtney, just come on, bro. Courtney, please, your dogs are in the car.
Oh, lucky both my dogs.
Stop hitting me.
No, because you let my dogs like my dogs.
My bad.
The jury is going to have a lot to contend with in this case, depending on what is allowed in. And that gets us to the next question in our investigation. What role will Christian Obumseli's own words play in the trial? Let's bring in our guest to talk about this. Here to help us answer that question is psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. And still with us, criminal defense attorney Jo-Anna Nieves. Dr. Lacey, when you are hearing that a romantic partner believes they have to secretly record the other, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, Julie, is it's absolutely critical to this case. When they are recording, it's usually a victim's desperate attempt to try to document their own abuse because they know no one else is watching. So as I'm listening and reading the messages that you're sharing, when you read messages like the things that we're hearing, to me, it's not necessarily dramatic. It's someone that has recognized a pattern of escalating violence that literally is predicting their own death. And tragically, he was right. So, these recordings to me serve several critical functions, I would say, in this case. We're seeing the establishing a pattern of abuse. His words are documenting these repeated incidences, and including over time. And then we're also seeing this, from what I would also say is that what we're hearing and potentially from the defense, this self-defense narrative, when someone is the aggressor, what we know when it comes to domestic violence in relationship, they don't typically make secret recordings of their partner begging them to stop hurting them. Abusers don't document their own victimization, but victims usually do, Julia, because they're trying to make sense of what's happening to them. And it often becomes that they know that they'll need proof that no one will believe them otherwise. And so when I'm hearing, and I was watching what you were sharing in these secret recordings, those are some of the things that come to mind. But I do think it's also incredibly important that there's a power dynamic that we're also seeing. You can hear in these clips that Christian is trying to de-escalate. He's trying to explain, he's trying to reason from what we're seeing in these clips, while Clenney, she's screaming commands, throwing slurs, she's threatening violence, and we literally hear in some of these clips the sounds of the shuffle. So this tells me that who held the power in the relationship from what we're seeing so far, Julia.
Jo-Anna, thinking about what Dr. Lacey is saying about the screaming that we're hearing from Courtney Clenney, the defense on the other side, they say that this was a setup, that the reason that Christian Obumseli was recording at these moments is because he knew she was going to be really explosive and he wanted them as some kind of insurance. What do you think about whether or not all or some of these recordings are going to be coming in at trial?
So first, I do think that that's the approach the defense just has to take in this situation, because what else do you do with this bad footage? You can't deny that it's happening. She's erratic. What we're seeing is that it plain as day looks like she's the aggressor while he is the one that is trying to calm things down and not even reacting with violence in the same manner that she is. So I do think that many of these videos will end up coming in, especially if a self-defense is an affirmative defense and she is going to have to put on evidence that she was, in imminent fear that something was going to happen to her, and a reasonable person in her situation would feel the same way. But we see time and time again that she's not afraid to be an aggressor, and she doesn't appear to be in reasonable apprehension of harm by him when these instances are occurring. I said it earlier, I think that the jury is not going to find her a very likable character.
And Dr. Lacey, battered spouse syndrome, battered partner syndrome, are you seeing that here? That's what we're going to see at trial.
When we look at battered spouse syndrome and sometimes even the different types of abuses that come into play, sometimes it's very often, Julia, that when someone is actually a victim, that they do try at times fight back. They do sometimes will try to engage in some of the behavior to try to de-escalate that. So when we see that, sometimes it's not as clear cut as we would like for it to think, as far as when we look at some of the dynamics that happens and who's the aggressor. So I think we have to look at some of the documented patterns of abuse that we've seen with all of the evidence. And I understand that from a defense standpoint, they can say that we don't necessarily know what was happening before, after, and the setup. But it's typical, especially for us in domestic violence situations, where we don't see abusers being the one to record and to do all these types of things. things and documenting it over time. So when I look at just some of the cases that we work at, we normally don't see that from an abuser. We usually see that from the victim.
Yeah, we have a lot more to unpack in this case, especially talking about the pattern and what was happening beforehand. But our next question is this. What was Courtney Clenney's mental state at the time of the stabbing?
I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
So I grabbed a knife and I said, don't come anywhere closer to me. I had absolutely no intention of using it. I'm on the phone with my mom, and he's coming at me like he's going to grab either the phone or like the knife or something. And so I was just like, I was like, don't come any closer. It's coming at me, and I drew it.
Welcome back to Vinnie Politan Investigates. That was Courtney Clenney. She's accused of murder, and she was speaking to police the day that she admits to stabbing her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli. But she says she did it in self-defense. And the timeline of their relationship and that day is crucial to understanding this case. Let's take a look back at the day before her interaction with police, talking about what was going on with her boyfriend.
You just want to get into your apartment.
Okay, but you
Time out. Let me talk. Okay.
I feel very like.
What's your name? Courtney?
Yes.
Okay, Courtney.
Why do you have something against me, man? I'm just trying to like.
Who has nothing against you?
It seems like
We're
you
trying to
don't
talk.
like me.
So you just want to get back in your apartment. Unfortunately, he can't be here in the property.
That is totally fine.
Okay, so then,
He's been literally
what we're gonna do is gonna fine him so he can leave the property and you get back to your apartment. What else do you
I
need?
was told I was gonna get a chance to speak.
Now's your turn.
Are you gonna listen?
Go ahead.
I feel like I am being.
All right. So what do you want to say?
I just like I don't want to be exonerated. I guess of anything wrong, and I want him. Okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
We don't issue those.
Because, no, I'm serious.
To the courts.
Can I do that?
You have to go to downtown
How
or
can I make
petition.
myself first? Because I know him and he would do it.
It's your questions that are making much of an.
I am. Right now, like, I have not always been the victim, but, like, right now, I'm a freaking victim in the situation. I'm scared to go downstairs and walk my dogs. I just walked him and I told him, you don't have a chance, and now, all of a sudden, this is all happening.
What's his name?
Christian Obumseli.
Christian?
Please, just, like, don't get me kicked out of my own apartment. I'm scared of him at this
Take her up to the apartment. Okay. Take her up to the apartment. We're gonna go in.
Would it be okay if you guys, if one of y'all...
He has belongings here.
Would it be okay if one of y'all talk to my father?
Does he have property in the apartment with you? A lot of property, you said. He's been with you here for about 2 months, right?
Yes.
Let me let you know something. He lives here. That person lives in that apartment with you. We cannot trespass anybody that lives in this place.
A day later, after this interaction with police, we would see a very different body camera footage. We would see Courtney Clenney hysterical after stabbing her boyfriend. So it gets us to the last question in our investigation. And that is, what was Courtney Clenney's mental state at the time of this stabbing? Let's bring back in our guest to help us answer this question. We have psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey, and former judge Tarlika Nunez Navarro is with us. She's also the dean of St. Thomas University College of Law. Dr. Lacey, let's try to answer that question. Based on what we saw the day before, what's standing out to you about Courtney Clenney's mental state?
Well, a couple things. If I was to, Julia, put it in two buckets, if I'm looking at it from a defense perspective, for one, you know, sometimes when we see not only the clip that you just saw where she was as the victim and she feared for her safety, she wanted to request a restraining order. And then I believe in reported prior abuse that she believes that there were some pictures of being choked or pictures that were consistent, I should say, with being choked or pushed. But when we look at a trauma response theory, right, in relationships with intimate partner violence, victims sometimes can develop hypervigilant and threat detection is what we would call it, and they react with disproportionate force when triggered. So when we think about potentially if she was the victim of domestic violence, and let's go with her theory that Christian was the aggressor, then we would kind of look at some of that trauma response psychology when it comes to domestic violence, because when we look at people that have trauma bonding and they stay in these toxic relationships that go back and forth. So the question that I would be analyzing is it truly a battered woman syndrome, as you mentioned in the previous segment, or is it truly just the dynamics of an intimate partner toxic dynamic? So there's a couple of things that I would have to break down even further to see if it was a true mutual intimate partner violence situation or if Courtney was a true domestic violence victim.
Tarlika, when you're looking at this and listening to how Courtney Clenney sounds, even when she's interacting with police, what's your analysis of whether or not she should testify in a case like this? Does she have to testify?
Well, if we're looking at a self-defense claim, they are going to have to put her on the stand, and the jury's going to want to hear from her, and they're going to want to assess her credibility, and they're going to be matching it against the behavior that they see in those videos and in her interview. So yes, if they're going to be successful in a self-defense claim, they're going to have to put their defendant on the stand.
And Tarlika, I do want to show you something that comes from an actual filing in this case. This is in the civil trial, but it mentioned something about what Courtney Clenney was dealing with when this was all happening. This was a few days before. And she actually, according to this motion, sent an email to the manager of the apartment complex where she lived. They had been threatening to evict her because of all of the problems they'd been having. And she told them that she had been recently diagnosed with a severe borderline personality disorder and had begun taking medication to address her disorder. She also advised that the medication should take effect after a month or so. This stabbing happened before that. Dr. Lacey, actually, let me get you to weigh in on knowing that information about Courtney Clenney.
So when I think about a clinical assessment perspective, that would matter in the sense of, did she truly have a pre-existing mental health condition beyond her PTSD and her substance abuse? And then that would also take into place what she was doing. Was there, in the toxicology reports, for example, from the day of the incident, was she having the substances or the medications in her system, or was this recreational use? And then we would also consider just her trauma history, including any childhood experiences. And we would want to consider the pattern of analysis of even who initiated the violence and the documented incidences. And we'd look at all of those types of things because I would say that her mental state at the time of Christian's death, to me would appear severely compromised by those multiple factors that you just introduced. Was there untreated trauma, substance abuse? Was there any type of mutually toxic relationships and acute psychological distress as a result of her diagnosis?
A lot for this jury to digest when the time comes. Dr. Lacey and Tarlika, thank you so much for weighing in and hanging with us as we have gone through this investigation. Now, Courtney Clenney's upcoming trial, it is a murder case, but what it's really going to come down to and what's going to come into focus is this relationship between Christian and Courtney. That's why the pair's toxic history, it's vital to understanding what happened the day that Christian died. But the real question is, how much of it is a jury going to get to see? I'm Julia Janae, filling in for Vinnie Politan. That's it for Vinnie Politan Investigates. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.
Don't forget to like and share this video, and for more legal insights, keep watching and subscribe to our channel.